Serhyi Jewtymowycz and Alex Theil are in the Chinese capital, Beijing. They're not here on vacation. This is their job. They work for Audi, tracking down fake car parts and their criminal manufacturers. Today, they're headed for a huge market in the city that specializes in car parts. Thousands of traders sell parts here, most of them counterfeit. It's not always easy to spot the difference. Serhyi says he's been in the car parts business for nearly 20 years, so he has lots of experience. Even early in the morning, business is brisk at the market, which sprawls over several hectares. Serhyi and his colleague Alex park their car and explore on foot. Serhyi explains that they're checking out shops that deal in Audi parts. Few stock the parts on site, but the Audi men hope to find shops with samples and showcases. Then they'll try to involve the salespeople in a discussion. The first stop they notice sells Audi radiator grills. But everything here is secondhand. A few minutes later, success seems close. This dealer looks promising, but the Audi brand protectors get nowhere. Serhyi says the man had nothing on hand and wasn't eager or cooperative about taking an order. Maybe it's still too early. They approach the dealers pretending to be European importers interested in business. Their tenacity pays off. Finally, they find a dealer who's willing to sell them parts. They say they're interested in buying a job lot of 1,000 parts and take a sample with them. Serhyi says the shop sold them a coolant pump. The quality is poor. It's definitely a forgery. The Audi men have a receipt. They bought the part for 150 won, the equivalent of 20 euros. Serhyi says they now have a tip that water pumps like this come from factories south of Shanghai. Now they're going to try to find those factories and carry out a major raid on the source of these parts.
Und werden jetzt dann versuchen, die Fabriken ausfindig zu machen, dann letztendlich an der Quelle dann die große Razzia durchzuführen.
But the counterfeiters know the dangers and take precautions. Alex says catching the forgers used to be easier. The factories had public addresses. Now they produce more or less underground. The factories go for a low profile or no profile. The production sites are often small private buildings with no company name, but the brand protectors still have to find a way to gain entrance. Back at their hotel, Serhyi presents Audi brand protection manager Robert Sterner with the fake Audi pump. To take legal action against the forgers, more is needed than a car part that fits in an Audi car. He says the basis for all of Audi's work protecting its trademark and products is intellectual property rights, so it's important that those rights are all registered. In the specific case of this water pump, the violation is the use of Audi's trademark, 4 interlocking rings. So it's plagiarism and a trademark violation, and that gives Audi a basis to go after the producer. Days later, we're in Wenzhou, a center of the southern Chinese automotive supply industry. 1/4 of all the car parts sold in China come from here, half of them fakes. Thanks to the help of local authorities, the Audi men are now hot on the track of the counterfeiting operation. The pair have prepared a joint raid together with the Chinese authorities on a factory that counterfeits water pumps and coolant pumps. They're headed for a warehouse that an Audi investigative firm has located, where they hope to confiscate the first fake parts. They arrive at the warehouse. If the counterfeiters have already cleared out the warehouse, then weeks of preparation will have been for nothing. But it looks like the forgers weren't tipped off. Now, evidence has to be found fast. The forgers have disappeared, but the building is full of fake parts, some already packed for delivery, others not completely assembled. What a find. Serhyi estimates the value of the parts here at almost 200,000 euros. The haul is quickly confiscated and meticulously registered. Depending on the dimensions of the crime, the forgers could face several years in prison or fines of up to 1 million won, about 140,000 euros. The investigators also find indications of where the parts were made. After they enter the premises, it's soon clear that this is indeed the counterfeiting production site they've long been trying to track down. The workers all seem to have cleared out, but there are hundreds of incomplete car parts and corresponding technical drawings. Serhyi says forget the idea that commodity forgery in China is carried out by 3 people in a hole in the ground, each filing pieces of metal. This is a highly organized factory with division of labor, set up for large-scale output. And the operation is diversified. Audis aren't the only coolant pumps faked here. Serhyi estimates that this factory produces tens of thousands of water pumps a year.
Das ist eine Kapazität von einigen 10.000 Wasserpumpen im Jahr.
The Audi brand protectors and the Chinese authorities work together, gathering evidence to make it hard for forgers to operate. Alex says it's obvious that as soon as the raid began, the boss sent all his workers home. The computers are still on. They didn't have enough time to cover their tracks. They just got out fast. In China alone, Audi has confiscated fake parts worth 200 million euros in recent years, and that's only what's been caught. The actual market must be much greater. But more important than money is safety. Parts produced in these makeshift factories don't even come close to Western safety standards. Serhyi says the brand protectors turned seized parts over to Audi's quality control department. Results in the past, he says, have often been scary. These spare parts are far from meeting Audi's quality standards, starting with product lifetime. But there are also breakage issues on parts that are relevant for safety. So forgeries cheat the customer in many ways. But the raid aims at more than confiscating as many parts as possible. Alex explains that these raids are just an investigative step to gain information on who is behind such operations, so that eventually Audi and the police can go after the bosses. It's a never-ending hunt, because when one counterfeiting factory is shut down, new ones pop up. But it's important to continue the fight for the safety of car drivers all over the world.